Yo, 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 yo. Welcome to another episode of Open for Discussion. I'm your boy, C. Maurice Ball, and it is an honor and a pleasure to have the guest that I have on here today. But before I get into who I have on here today, y'all know what to do when y'all see that like and subscribe button. Go ahead and click that, join our community, be a part of what we have going on so that you can hear the stories and the journey of the amazing, awesome people that we have on. Like today. Today, I have the honor and the pleasure of speaking with this young woman. She is phenomenal. She is an influencer. She is a relationship counselor. She is an entrepreneur. She is a love practitioner. Come on, y'all. She's a servant leader, a mentor. She's a speaker and an author. And she out here doing phenomenal things, changing the world one person at a time. And we get a chance to speak to her. But before we bring her on, and before we get a chance to holler at her and spend some time with her, kick that intro. Well. I am introducing to some and presenting to others. The doctor is in the building, Miss Dr. Hollie Williams. How are you today?
I am outstanding. How are you doing today?
I am awesome. I am awesome. Well, I want to thank you for pulling up and taking the time out to hang out with me for a few minutes and just talk about life and how
Yes.
life is going and how life started and the journey that you're on. So I normally have a great story on how I meet people on that come on my podcast. Mostly everybody, probably 90% of the people that's been on my show have been through TikTok or Instagram. Like I would
Okay.
just kind of stalk people and just ask them to come and share their story. And I said, yes, but we have some mutual friends on TikTok that shared a couple of your lives. And I jumped in and I'm like, I like her content. I like what she talks about, your personality, the vibe that you carry. And I was like, let me just see if she want to pull up.
Thank
And
you.
and here we are.
Yeah.
Here we are, and we get a chance to talk to the doctor. And um, for some of y'all who don't know, like this is her first interview. I'm she said I'm her first interview, so I feel honored.
This is
I
very
feel
true.
honored that
Very true.
I'm not gonna cry.
I've been on TikTok for 2 years and I've not yet done anything as far as interview wise. But yeah.
Well, I appreciate you pulling up. So where are you currently residing? Where are you currently functioning from?
In the great state of Texas.
Texas. The
I
great
am a
state,
Texas native,
Texas. Born and raised?
born and raised.
Born and raised in Texas.
Yeah.
Okay. They do everything big in Texas. So that's what the saying is.
I think when you live here, you don't have that reality. It just is, but that's what the saying is.
Everything is big just because it's big,
Everything is
but the
big.
saying on the
Right.
outside is like, hey, you go to Texas, everything is bigger and funner
Like they
and
do it there.
better in Texas.
Yeah.
What part of Texas are you currently
I'm
around?
currently in. I'm actually in what is North Texas. So
Okay.
that's going to be around your Fort Worth area, Dallas, Fort Worth Metroplex area. I guess you could say.
Okay.
That's kind of help.
I got a couple of homeboys that live out in that area. I was actually at a TikTok event in May in Dallas. It was it was it was
Okay.
it was pretty cool. So yeah, I hang out in Dallas, not a lot, but I've been there and kind of kicked it. I kind of kicked it. So,
Okay.
Dr. Hollie,
Yes,
when
sir.
Doc speaks. So what's your family structure? What's your family makeup? Where do you fall at in the range of your siblings?
I'm the eldest.
Oh,
I'm
out
the
of how
eldest.
many?
There's three of us, so I'm the
Okay.
eldest, and there's one boy, and then
Okay.
there's another girl. So yeah, I have a baby sister, and then there's the brother. So
And the
both of
brother's
them in,
the
in
middle. He's
babies.
the middle child.
He's the middle child.
And he's the favorite. He's the favorite.
Okay.
He is. I can relate to him.
He's the
I'm the
best.
youngest.
He's
I'm
the
the only
best.
boy, and I'm the youngest of three. So
Wow.
yeah,
Wow.
he the favorite. I'm just go. We go ride with the brother. He's the favorite. So how
He
was
was the
life?
first
How was that
grandchild. I
growing
can
up?
see it. It was kind of he was the first grand boy in the
Ooh.
family. So that was the game changer by itself. For me, it was like, okay, I have this brother, and this is different because we're about 6 years apart. But I think I really, because my we grew up in a two-parent household, and they really enforce, like, protect and make sure you guys are there for each other and all that good stuff. So I
Hmm.
really did, like, growing up. It was like, if you don't do this, I'm gonna go get my sister, and he would, and I would come.
Oh, you was gangster.
I was that. I was that woman or that
Hey,
girl.
th-
Yes,
hey, nothing
don't
wrong
mess
with
with
it.
my brother. Yes, so I was very protective of him, and he knew I would be there for him. But I think, as we grew older, that protection just kind of intertwined between each other, where you kind of like shield each other. So it paid off in the long
Okay. So you said you grew up in a two-parent home.
run.
How
Yes.
important do you believe that is, that family dynamic?
I believe the family dynamic is very important because when you have two parents in the household, and they're present. Because trust me, I understand by counseling so many people that sometimes you can have a father or mother in the home and they're not necessarily present. But I'm saying they're present and they're very active in your life. It really fosters the connection that you need to basically, you know, create that sense of worth, your value systems, your
Hmm.
morals, and all those things that you get installed. So I feel like you're not getting two different parenting styles, and they're able to come together to basically raise you up, and that is a part of a good foundation and a building system leading into adulthood.
That
So
that
I
is
think for me, it's
that
important.
is um that is really amazing. Like having both parents, uh, and you just explained it. You're getting all the pieces of the puzzle
Mhm.
at the same time in one house, as opposed to being over here
Absolutely.
getting a piece of the puzzle and this family dynamic, and then coming back over here and getting a piece of the puzzle, and then trying to figure out over life, how do I manage
Hmm.
to merge
Hmm.
these pieces together. So
Hmm.
that's pretty, that's amazing. So you have, so how are your parents still together? Are they still alive?
My father he passed away in 2017 to his
Sorry to
battle
hear
with
that.
pancreatic cancer. So yeah, my mother is remarried. So to God be all the glory for that she was able to land in love again. But yeah, he passed in 2017.
So growing up, in being the oldest, having the two parent family, um, how were y'all all close? I know you just said that your brother, that you was protect. Were you the mama bear when mama bear couldn't be mama bear?
See, it goes a little bit deeper because I didn't have to necessarily be because we're such a close knit family. My grandparents didn't live but 3 blocks away. So, so we we definitely had the family dynamics there. Like our family, like my uncles and my aunts, like we are very like close knit. Like literally, like if you drive down the street, the next house, there go your uncle's house. Like it's that kind of close knit family. So, um, it was never kids being left to be nothing but just kids and grow up and do kid things.
And do kid? Wow.
Yeah.
That's a that is where I come from, called the silver spoon.
I've heard that before. It was like, wait, what? Yeah, I've heard people have said that, and I trust me, I feel truly, truly blessed, and it did not come into perspective until, of course, having my own family, and of course, counseling other families, and then you see that, like, man, that this is truly a blessing to have that type of dynamics where you have your great grandparents, you have your grandparents, you have your parents, and then all of their people, and you guys are working as the village.
Wow.
Yeah.
That I'm gonna tell you what, that in itself speaks volume to your parent, your grandparents, and your great grandparents,
Hmm.
and the lineage and the generational transfer and the generational things that they passed on for y'all to be that tight knit family. Um,
Hmm.
you don't see that
You don't.
often at
You don't.
all. I ain't gonna say at all because of generalization, but you don't see that
Right.
often. And when you do see it, especially we're probably around the same age,
Hmm.
but especially in the 70s, 80s,
Right.
that was
Right.
being that close knit was unheard of. It
Yeah.
was just kind
Yeah.
of like you always got that crazy uncle locked up in the room somewhere, and then you
Right.
got you got the
Now, I'm
the
not
family
saying I didn't
feud
have
stuff
some crazy
going on.
uncles, but
You didn't have the
we
crazy
had
uncle
some
locked up
crazy.
in the room.
I did, and I had some crazy uncles. They might not have been in the room, but they were pretty crazy. But I had one of them or two, and it was like generational, like stuff. Like my grandfather had an uncle, like that Uncle TL over there. He,
He
and that
different.
uncle, yeah, he's just a little different. Than, okay, so but yeah, it's like we had them, but my whole family is like being such an advocate for family, like sticking together. That was the biggest thing. Like coming together. I don't care what you guys are doing, and we need to have family dinners. Different things like that. So really making an importance on the coming together as family.
I'm like, wow, that's that is so dope. So you didn't have the typical uh growing up. So let's say, what were you like in eighth grade, ninth grade? Were you a good kid? Were you a good student? Was you mischievous? Were you, you know, what was how was life back then?
I would say for like if you hear the stories, if whether my mom and dad were if they were to tell you, they would tell you like I was for the most part a good kid, but I had an attitude
Hmm.
problem. And my
Okay.
dad was very instrumental in checking me on that. And he was like, as beautiful you are, that what you're doing makes you very ugly. I'm like, Daddy, did you just call me ugly? Like, that kind of thing. Like, but it wasn't what he was saying. He was like, the character that you're displaying, that's not attractive at all. So he really did help me to understand that aspect. But a lot of it was I just my parents. I didn't understand what was happening with my parents, and so we were fortunate enough to move from like living in apartments to having a house built from the ground up. So now I'm in different schools and I'm adjusting to all this and having to make new friends. And I really did. And I'm already introverted. Now y'all don't put me in this school system. But I just wasn't gelling with some of the people in school and everything. And, there was like bullies and stuff like that. And I would get picked on and girls would be like, oh, yeah, she wear weave. And I didn't even know what a weave was. But it was just like weird stuff that was going on. Like, this is crazy. And the fights and everything. So when you have that kind of energy, it makes you kind of change to where, okay, what you're not going to do is you're not going to pick on me.
Hmm.
And I don't care, sometimes they pay you, oh, she's beautiful. She's not gonna fight. Yes, I will. So
Right.
I was
Survival.
I was that person. Yeah, so yes I will. So I was that person that would definitely get into fights and I don't do bullying and I would take up for other people. But I really stayed to myself and I really had like a close, like knit circle of like friends, girls and guys that I hung out with for the most part. But it was rough going through high school with the changes, adapting because of the move. I think that was the
So,
biggest
so
thing.
as you transition it and you figure out you have this attitude, did you still have the attitude after your dad said something? I mean,
It
in the
it took
house you
me some
probably
time.
didn't, but in the streets you was probably.
I did. In school I did. It was like Miss Williams, I don't want to hear you call my mama and tell it on me. Because my mama was the one that would come to the school and so would my dad. I don't want to see neither one of them. So I'm trying to act right, but I can't act right. So I did, in the household, I tried to do as best as I can. But when I was out, I kind of, like you said, being mischievous.
Which we all out here doing stuff at that age that we hope
Yes,
don't circle back around.
yes.
Like
But I
what
had
I
so
tell.
much respect for my dad though. And so the respect I had for my dad is like I didn't want to like do certain things. Like even when it came to boys, I didn't start dating until I was like 16. Like I was very reserved, and I will never forget when my dad. I called myself going outside, getting in the car with this guy I was talking to at the time. And my dad, I knew he wasn't coming home because he worked for the sheriff department and he had that crazy schedule. But he happened to pull up. Child, this man done took off driving. Why did you drive off? Now my daddy is gonna really get me. So, and it was a matter of, I have so much respect. I didn't want my dad to see like I'm doing something that wrong, like because I didn't have anything to hide. So I had that kind of respect. So I never wanted to do anything to disappoint my dad.
That's great. That is just a good wholesome story as a teen.
I know this, but oh my
That's
God,
just a
give me
good
that
wholesome
wrong.
story.
No,
Uh,
no. Yeah.
so what was one of your major challenges that it sounded like you kind of were a good student as well. Grades were probably good, probably active. All that stuff plays having two parents plays a part in the road that you travel. But what was one of the challenges that you faced as a young person, that you had to figure out how to navigate it with without it getting to your parents?
I would say one thing that I experienced that I had to try to navigate, but because I was so open with my parents, here I go again. It did get to my parents, but I will. It was one of those things that I was being stalked, and I'm trying to figure out like who is this guy, and they're like, someone gave me the information, so it's like he could always see me. I'm at the high school. He could always see me. It was that kind of thing. And one day I remember being in the car with my mom, and I'm like, I'm very nervous because I don't know if he's gonna do something. I've never been exposed to this kind of thing. And so it just so happened that there was this radio station and they used to do the call-in letters. You remember those kind of okay, so back in the day they were like real prominent. And so it was a letter that was very similar to my story. And I brought it up and I was like, what would you do if like I was in a situation like that, mom? And she was like, "Oh no, we will figure it out. And your daddy will be right on him because he down at the sheriff's department. So we'll bring." And I was like, "Well, I'm in that situation. I need help." So there we go. So I just didn't know how. Like I was so nervous, and I didn't know how they would respond to like something so extreme, especially like someone is stalking you. They have your phone number. I would go to the mall. This guy would be able to see me at the mall. It was very scary, but surely, like once I told it, we brought some resolution to it for sure.
What year did you graduate?
In '96.
Okay, you're not too far behind me.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, not too far in front behind me. Yeah, behind me. Yeah.
Okay,
So,
because I'm
so you
46.
got this
Okay.
open relationship with your parents.
Yeah.
How
Yes.
important do you think that is, though? How, like, being
I would
able to
say
talk to
very
your
important.
parents and being able to share things with your parents? How important do you think that is?
I think that is a very critical component because sometimes like kids tend to shy away and have this thought idea like, you know what, I need to figure things out alone or they don't understand me and I will learn this by myself, that type of mentality when in fact like your parents really have gone through things that you are going through.
Hmm.
And so when you have that open dialect that says, listen, I know you're gonna bring me some things that's gonna be like shell shock, and I know my face is probably gonna show it. Disregard that. I will be okay, but tell me anything, and I mean anything, because I am here to make sure that you are covered, you're protected, you're loved, you're cared for, like all those things. They stress that like immensely, and I never not see like to not see them like come through with that, to the extent to where I have so many stories I can tell you, but I had a case in high school where a teacher of mine um, came on to me
Mm.
in an explicit way, and it was a business class that I was taking, so I was like, I'm gonna pretend I'm gonna go call the stock guy, and I called my mom and I was like, Mom, he said this, like, oh, I would love to see you in that nightgown type thing, and the other people, the kids heard them, but when I told my mom, she was up there at the school, like, with the quick. So it was never not a time. She's like, my daughter is not going to tell me a lie. So if I come up here, like, it better be all, the truth stuff. So because I always had that open relationship, if I came and I said that this is happening, she knew, or my dad would know this is happening, and they would be present to advocate
Boy,
for me.
that is the Huxtables all the way.
That's hilarious.
That's awesome though. Like you know, as you going through high school to be able to have a solace and a safe place in your house to be able to talk and share and um open up without fear of getting in trouble, or even if you did get in trouble, you still had an ear, and you still had your parents, y'all had that relationship, which is what we're trying to create now with our son. We try to create those spaces where he can say
Yes,
anything to us, he
it's
can
a
tell
safe
us
space.
things, because if he's not coming to us, he's going
Hmm.
somewhere. And like I tell him all the time, like, your friends can't tell you nothing, because
They're
they
learning
where
with you.
you, they in the same boat you in. They ain't seen nothing.
Yes,
Y'all
yes,
walking down the same street. How he gonna tell you to turn left up here and y'all on the same
exactly,
path? So
exactly.
that's really amazing, your journey, and everything. So now, so you go through high school, seems pretty simple, right? Like, good
So it
student,
seems.
out of trouble, not that much, go protect your brother, beat up some people here and there. Now, do you and your little baby sister have a good relationship?
I was when we were growing up, we did.
Uh-huh. Oh,
When we
okay.
were growing up, because it was like we grew up, and there's like a huge age difference. So again, there's that protection, that is there even for her. But I just think it's one of those things, like, now you fast track it. She lives her life of her own as an adult. She's 30, so there is like 16 years there. So absolutely, like, it's I think it's more of the age difference and her really trying to find herself more than anything. But growing up, we definitely were close.
Okay. Now, you had this nice pristine kind of life through high school. Now, when you got to college, did it turn?
Hmm. Yes, it actually turned before I got there.
Okay. Okay.
What kicked it off
At
was,
what point did it start turning, like your senior year?
yes, I was curious with some
Okay.
things.
Uh-huh.
And so that's when you start, hearing conversations centered around, oh, it's nice to kiss and to touch and all that kind of stuff. And you're like, I wonder what is that like? Well, that curiosity led me in a situation to where you're now pregnant.
Okay.
Going through, okay?
Okay.
So, that's one of those things. So you graduate in high school, and you definitely and where you would think that it was easy for me to actually go through high school, I really kind of like checked out in high school. I was like, I don't like it. My grades were not really good as I was getting into my senior years. And it was like so rough to the extent that, it was like, is she gonna walk the stage? Like, it's like that kind of thing. And it
Hold on,
and
hold on,
so
hold on, hold on, hold on,
yeah,
hold
I
on, hold
know. I'm
on, hold
just like,
on,
I,
hold
I
on.
just kind of checked out on some things because I wanted to explore other things that I deemed to be more important.
Okay. So, all right. So I'm gonna tell you what I totally assumed. I totally assumed that you were, you know, everything just lined up. You got these two
Nope.
amazing parents, and you live in this really nice environment, and everything is good. But you was out in these streets wilding.
I was wilding out. And that's why I said I was glad that you made that assumption because the reality was like we're sitting here, about to graduate, and I did not get to walk with my class. I had to go through like the summer school process to get the diploma, and that was devastating to me. And so
Mm.
I was like, I really miss like how would you get to this place? Like this is like crazy. So I was feeling some type of way about not graduating on time, even though I did graduate, but it still was not the same. And I did not get to walk across that stage. My grandparents didn't get to have that experience, right? And I would have been the first grandchild to give them that.
Wow.
And I
So
did.
did that create in you a sense of disappointment or
It
failure?
absolutely,
A sense of failure, like you let your
absolutely.
whole family down.
The whole family. Yeah, I'm like, oh my God, this is devastation. And we were just that close, and everyone was like, ready to. I mean, they had their part. You know how families do. They got the parties going. They did everything, and then because you don't know what you know until you get to the end anyway. If you're going to really walk,
Right.
and I didn't get to walk, and so that was very disappointing to have to go through that, and your mom is having to tell people that stuff. So yeah,
So with that, like, how did you process that weight though? Like that's a
I
lot of weight as a
didn't.
young person. How did you
Hmm.
process? Is that kind of was that the gateway to you starting to say, you know what, the pressure pushed me into something else, and was
Absolutely.
the something else was that a way to for you to escape and detach from that from your reality,
From my family. So
from your
now,
family? Yeah, which is a
so
reality. Yeah, you're from your,
which is
yeah,
the reality,
yeah.
because that was like my foundation. But yes, that is that. So when you're in that space, and you're like, I've done this and everything. Now I need to find my way. And so there it was, like I said. So coming out of high school, dealing with a pregnancy. I am trying to go into college, but I'm also dealing with a pregnancy. So things kind of a little bit of a waiting game. I did enter into college, so I'm dealing with that. Um, and I made a decision, like in the process, I was doing kind of good, finding my way, like through college. But then I decided not to. With my son's father, like talk to him. I wanted to talk to somebody else because you're young. You still trying to
Right.
figure stuff out.
Play in the field.
Yeah, that too. But
Hey,
I
here's the
need to
thing.
see
You know what I'm
what's
saying?
out
We all been out in these streets. You know what I'm saying? We
Listen.
all kind of, you
Oh.
know, we, you
I
know.
was like, I just need to see what's out. Listen, this is just one person. What else is out here in the world? But it did. But again, because I had not dealt with other things, I was not clear headed. I had a lot of chaos just really
Mhm.
surrounding me. So I hooked up with this guy, and I'm in this relationship with him. And in the beginning, it was amazing. It was like real cool. We had a good time. And then all of a sudden, one day, he changed, and I was like, "Who is this? This is a monster." And it was the day my grandmother had bought this really big picture because he and I was living together, but she had bought this really big picture that goes over the fireplace. And I remember that picture and how proud I was to put it because my granny had bought it. This guy, that particular day, decides that he's angry, and I don't know where this anger is like really truly coming from. Like, but he literally, because he was very tall, picks me up by the throat and slams me into the picture.
Wow.
And his whole thing was like, "You will not talk to me this kind of way, like this kind of thing." And so here's the problem with that.
Yeah.
Where this has happened, my father being in law enforcement, I've been trained in tactical training. Like I know some things. I could
Uh-huh.
really hurt you if I could. So me, I will fight you back. Again, like I said, I was a fighter. So I didn't have that exposure, but with this guy, I'm like, I'm gonna fight you back. If you hit me, I'm gonna hit you back. That mentality, craziest thing ever. But eventually, what that led us to was, as I'm like, this is not the life that God is calling me to. I know that there's something greater, and I'm like, how do I get out of this? Because I don't know what He would do to me. But what happened one day is that we have just bought this uh, fish aquarium, and got into this big argument. And he goes off on me, and I snapped. And when I snapped, all I could hear was him screaming. I'm like, why is he screaming? And he was like, oh my God, you're trying to kill me. Well, he was literally in the kitchen on the floor, and I had pushed him into
The
the
fish tank.
aquarium. Hmm. And the glass cut his arm, and it literally barely missed the artery. So, but he was bleeding. Yeah, it was bad. So, in that, like, that scared me because, like, you are with this person who is bringing out the worst in you,
Mm-hmm.
and it's
Mm-hmm.
not going to change. You were not even raised like this. Why are you accepting this type of behavior?
Right.
You know,
Right.
so now I'm starting to process this. And it was. So to fast track that, I literally had to have this moment to where, because there was times that I had the black eye. His mom was telling me that, what did you do to my son? You know, that type of thing, stuff you hear on the movie. And I just was like, I can't live my life like this. And I remember the song, I don't believe he brought me this far to leave me, you know? And I said, God, I don't believe that you brought me this far. And I said, God, I am literally making a covenant with you if you bring me out of this. I know that you can. I don't know how to do it for myself. But I said, God, I from this moment forward, it is definitely for you that I will serve. I will do, you know, I'm just saying this making me sleep. It was literally 2 days later that I was upset with him again, and I told him, and we were having a conversation while we were at work, and I said, I don't know what you are going to do, but whatever it is, you have to go, just like that. And he said, well, what do you mean I have to go? I said, like, you have to pack up your stuff, and you have to get out of the apartment, and you have to leave.
Mm.
And I mean that. And so you need to make plans. You know, when you get off today, you need to make that happen. And I'm thinking to myself, what did you just say to this man? Because you know when he comes, he gonna want to try to probably box you when he comes to the house. It didn't happen. He walked in, he got a trash bag, and I do remember him. I was sitting on the bed, and he looked me in my face, and he said, "Are you sure?" And I stared at him back, and I said, "I've never been so sure of anything in my life."
Mm.
And I never went back.
Eh, now you had a son too, though, in the whole process
Oh,
during
I
this
did.
relationship.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm. Yeah. And that becomes a part of like the exposure. Like, what are you exposing your child to?
Mm-hmm.
Seeing that you're allowing this type of behavior. And no, yes, of course he's spending time with his dad and everything like that, but he's still spending time with his mom and he has that exposure. So you still so to have that reality like that, that's why I said, okay, God, I'm in a situation. I got myself in this situation. This is
Right.
not what you ordained for my life. So surely I am trusting you that you have the plan. I don't know what you're gonna do, but I know you're gonna do it. And I just really believe that he was going to do it. And he
And he
did.
did. Because it just seems like you had a great examples of with your parents,
Across
and
the
then you
board.
turned out to be in a toxic relationship, an
Very
abusive.
toxic. Like, where did that come from?
Like,
But you know what? I really feel like that everything serves a purpose.
right, it does.
Everything serves a purpose. And even going through that, even though that it wasn't something that God ordained, it was like, yes, go be in this relationship. It's something that I put myself in. It is part of the testimony that you use to help those to bring about understanding. Knowledge, wisdom, and understanding is very powerful. And so I get it. So now that relatability is there even the more so because I went through something that I did not have to go
Oh, 100%. I
through.
mean, because think about it. If you would have followed the easy path of life and how life was laid out for you,
Yeah.
you wouldn't be as relatable to all the women that you done touched over the course of your life that's
Absolutely.
on that path.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
but in the
Very
moment,
same thing.
we don't know that God's plan is God's plan. It's just
We
like,
don't.
oh
We
man,
don't.
we don't even.
We
And
don't.
at that point, like some of us don't even know that God is even God.
And there you have it because you're still, because again, Like, yes, I was raised in the church, but I didn't know anything about relationships.
Mm-hmm.
It was not until literally like an intricate moment like that I am really discovering relationship with God for myself. And this is the very thing that is the catalyst to me to really propelling me like into, okay, God, I got to get into my word. I got to get close to you. I need to be able to hear your voice. Like all the things that truly, truly matter, because there is no way in the world that I should have been in this situation.
Yeah. So,
So
so
yeah.
how old were you when you came into that relationship with it in your 20s? Like
Uh-huh. Yeah, in my 20s. Like
in your,
19,
okay.
20. Yeah, right there. Hmm.
So now you have this epiphany, you have this God moment. You realize that you are in a toxic relationship, you making the necessary moves to get out. What was your family saying, trying to say to you? Because I'm pretty sure they were saying something that you weren't listening to. What were they trying to say to you to kind of get you to realize, like, hey, you don't have to be in a situation like that?
I mean, they did a lot of things, but they couldn't do enough because I did not give them access to me.
Hmm.
To the extent to really, like, I was estranged from my mother for like 3 years.
Wow.
And my dad, was like, you need to fix this. Your
Yeah.
family is your family, and we're going to always be here for you. You need to fix this. This has gone on too long, that type of thing. And so I did. I worked to bring about reconciliation, and stop avoiding my family. And I had to have that hard conversation with my daddy and tell them, Daddy, this is what's going on. And I don't want you to feel like you need to do
Go
anything
handle
about
that real quick.
it. But, I'm coming out of this situation, you know, and I believe that. My dad was like,
Again,
how in the
you had a safe space where you can go say that.
oh,
That because
mhm.
think about some of the people that you counsel and you talk
Yeah,
to that don't have that safe space and they end up wilding out and
yeah.
crashing out
I'm
and
telling you.
going sideways.
I'm telling
So that's amazing that that foundation and that base was always there. But
you. Hmm.
what made you think that you couldn't talk to your mom, or was it easier to talk to your dad than it was to talk to your mom just over the course of you growing up anyway?
Hmm. I'm a daddy's girl, so
Okay.
I always could talk to my dad about pretty much anything. Just could. There was like a calm with my dad. My mom was very passionate because she was like, "Oh my God," and try to fix stuff. Like she's very like would insert herself like, "Chill out, chill out." But I realized that it's just the type of love that she gives, and sometimes we don't realize how love comes in certain forms, and so her love happens to be very passionate to where I will move heaven and earth for my kids, that kind of stuff. So yeah, it was
But
really getting an understanding.
but when you had your son, did you understand that? I mean, did you understand, like, I will move heaven and earth for this person that no?
No, it wasn't until I had my daughter.
It was, oh, so you had to have a
That changed me.
daughter to realize
Hmm.
that, oh yeah, I'll
Hmm.
go to jail for
Because
this.
the daughter helped me to see this little girl. Every time you move, she moves like you. Mommy, you vacuuming? I'm vacuuming too. That so you start seeing things like, "Good Jesus." So that will really wake you up and change you and how you move and realize that you will move. You'll make sacrifices that you never thought that you would make, especially for the sake of your kids.
So now you're in your 20s. You have
Uh-huh.
one child at this point.
Uh-huh. And two.
To okay, okay. So you're a single
Because they
mom
are
of
literally
two.
2.5 years apart. Yeah.
So you're a single mom of two with with an amazing support system,
Hmm.
right? So now you start to move forward in life.
Yeah.
You start to the
Get my
kind of
healing.
Okay.
Marry their daddy.
What what
Say
what did
yes
that
to
look
the
like for
dress.
you though? What did that look? I mean, I know you said you had that come to Jesus moment, but it still requires us to do something in the into process into the healing. So being a single mom, or you have this, are your fathers, are they the same father?
Hmm.
Oh,
My kids, yes.
so your children are both of your children are from the same father?
Hmm.
Okay. So you're processing through that, you're trying to figure out life, you're trying to figure out who you are, you're trying, how was all that, how did all that come to a head and you just kind of start saying, all right, I need to do something else, even outside of relationships?
Yeah. The best thing I can say, like, I didn't know what a quarantine truly was, but I went through a quarantine. I
Okay.
had to get by myself, and it was just me and God. That's what it was. And
Okay.
so there was a decision to be made to cut off, like you said, everything and focus on that relationship
Okay. Okay.
and no other relationship. It's you, you're working, taking care of your kids, like doing all these things. And in that time, that was a time was where I'm weak, but I'm not because God is being my strength. And I
Right.
learned in that season what strength really was. I learned what relationship really truly was. And it was in that moment that I saw myself maturing into the true woman that I was. And so from there, it was easy for me to, well, no, not really, because I knew that my kid's father loved me.
Hmm.
Um, but it just seemed kind of like fast track because when I came out of that season, which was like 2 years, and he was like, I want to marry you, I want to do all this. And I literally had to go to my grandparents. It's like, he want to do, and then, and they was like, girl, what are you running for? That man is a good man. And that was their mentality. And I was like, I don't know. I guess I really am fearful. And so I went back and I just allowed the natural organic process to be what it was. And within 3 months of me coming out of the wilderness of my healing into the
Hmm.
wholeness of me, and him like really pursuing in that moment. In 3 months, we were engaged and off to be married very
Okay.
quickly.
But which should sound pretty simple because you have great examples
Very
of
great.
what marriage should look like.
Hmm. Healthy example all the way
Oh
around.
man, I'm
Hmm.
I'm telling you that is a, so okay. So now you're what, mid 20s or late
Yep,
20s,
mid 20s, late
mid
late
20,
20s,
mid
definitely. Hmm.
20s, a single mother of two who is marrying the father of your children,
Yeah,
which is a whole
it's a whole story for another day.
which is great, which is great. Now, how long? Okay, let's see. What's the question I want to ask? Was marriage for you what you thought it was going to be when you got married?
No,
No.
not at all. No.
Okay.
You know what I realized becoming married is I realized that I saw healthy examples, but I was not taught the
Yeah,
example.
I was going to
That
say something like
that's
that.
the
Yeah.
thing. So like you see how they operate and you see the love and you see all the different, but what you don't see is the behind the scenes stuff, the inner
Right. The
workings
how
and the work
to.
that you have to do with each other. Yeah, you
Yeah.
know. So that was the thing. It's like so now we're and because my and he's my ex husband by the way. He lost his parents when he was at the age of like five, five, both parents, different ways. But he lost them, so he had varying different examples, and I had different type of things. So here we are coming together. But I can say because I hear a lot of conversations that says that if you get a divorce, then you failed, and I will always disagree with that because we had a season in life and it was very successful.
Hmm.
And everything that we vowed to each other, we achieved. When we talked about building, that's exactly what we did. So it was definitely a success for the season in which it was.
I'm, you know, as a pastor, I get asked, do I agree with divorce? Um, and my thing is, if is it smoke damage or fire damage?
Good.
You
That's a good
know,
analogy.
smoke damage, it all that stuff is repairable. Like
Absolutely.
it's not, but fire damage, I mean that thing done burnt to the ground.
Yeah.
Now it's going to take more work to
Absolutely.
restore it, and
Hmm.
most of the time, most people are not. And I'm like, before your heart turns towards this person and you start to hate them, and you start
Hmm.
to get bitter towards them, and you start to
Hmm.
get resentment and
Hmm.
animosity towards them,
That
then you
cold
have to
heart.
make the
Yeah.
decision that's going to be best for
Hmm.
you in that time frame. So how long
Absolutely.
were you
I
married?
agree. We were married 15 years of the 29 years that we have known each
15 years.
other. Hmm.
Okay. And so 15 years of marriage. At what point? Now you said it was you were still learning how to be a wife, even though you seen the example. You didn't get the how to of how to do that. You were you asking, and on the other side, you said his parents were not married.
They were not married, but then he
Yeah. So
also didn't have influence because they were deceased,
okay. So he had no examples. So he,
except for grandparents and uncles and yeah. So not parents though. Yeah,
so trying to figure out how to be married is already tough enough.
it's tough,
You
very
have
tough.
you if you have good examples, you have bad examples, but you're still not taught how
Mm-mm.
we end up in this space right here. So how did you was you open to asking your parents questions about how they
Oh
had a
yeah,
successful marriage? I mean, you already had an established relationship and an open door policy. So did you go and ask?
it was asking my our grandparents did counseling with us, my parents as well. Like they would sit in whatever open book. But you know what was very instrumental for us as far as our growth season, our church community. When we, really got into and we both are serving in ministry and I'm working, he's working, he's doing those things. Cause then we're sharing and, we doing things like there's couples that's looking up to us, seeing us as superheroes. Another story for another day. But you learn that you are light now because obviously something that you're doing while people are pouring into you, you're actually able to pour back out. So all three areas is what caused us to begin to get strengthened
Hmm.
and learn better as becoming husband and wife.
Okay. So you said 15 years. What was the breaking, what was one of your greatest takeaways from that relationship, and what was the turning point and the breaking point that y'all decided that it wasn't going to work?
Um, the one of the greatest takeaways is that I saw him as a man of faith. And when we talk about that measure of faith, like I'm like,
Hmm.
wow, I actually got to experience him living through that, and I learned from that. So that was my greatest way. Like my faith increased, my unbelief was helped by his own testimony and his life experience. As far as our relationship, our growing apart happened unfortunately because we both were in dead zones. He lost his grandma, to breast cancer. I lost my dad to pancreatic cancer. And in this season, when you're supposed to be this support system for each other, but you're
Hmm.
battling grief, you don't know how to show up.
Mm.
Me being educated in every area, I'm numb. I can't think about no education and what I've been taught and all that under the sun. All I can think is my daddy is gone. That's it. And so
Right.
now all you're doing is going further, further and apart versus coming back together, bridging that gap. And that was the greatest part of our demise.
Yeah, that is
That's
tough.
tough.
I lost my dad and I went into a dark space, and I'm glad I wasn't
Yeah.
married, because there was it it would have been a disaster, because
Yes,
I
I
went
agree.
on the I was at the bottom of the bottom looking up at the bottom. And I was I didn't care about anything. I was reckless. I was so deep in depression. Um
Yeah.
I don't think I would emotionally I wouldn't have been able to sustain any other relationship at all because I was
Yeah.
barely sustaining the relationship I had with myself,
Absolutely.
you know. And
Absolutely.
I ended up at the crossroads of life and death. So I understand that, but I can only imagine
Yeah.
taking two people who who are trying to deal with this grief and putting them in the same space to where y'all y'all kept missing it. That I know that had to be tough. I know that
It
had
was
to be tough.
very tough. I could have never imagined that we would have had that experience, but we did. And we have a great relationship now, which is an amazing. But again, we started out as friends, so it didn't surprise me that that reconciliation would come back together.
So 15 years. Is there I ain't gonna ask you this question.
Don't ask.
Uh, I'm gonna ask you that question.
No.
I'm not. I won't put nothing out there because somebody might be watching this. So
Well, not even that. You have to just very quickly. Not even that. If you fast track forward to 2022, like I share people like often the time on my stream that I was engaged and I lost my fiance. So have found love again. I know. Again, it's just too much to talk about. But
no,
so
that's the point of this. So so so
yeah.
y'all go y'all separate ways. Y'all remain
Mhm.
friends.
Mhm.
You found love again.
I did. I
Now
did. I
now
landed in it was solid on solid ground.
now I would I have a question. I'm trying to I hear this question stirring in my head. I'm trying to figure out how to
Okay.
ask it. So did you so when you got out of your depression stage, and now y'all both decided that this was not a healthy situation, and now you're getting healthy. It wasn't that it wasn't love that you was against. It was just that y'all both didn't have the capacity emotionally
It's the
to sustain
capacity.
each other.
Big time.
Okay.
Had nothing to do with love.
Okay. So it was easy so when you recognize love the second time around, it was easy for you to recognize it because of
Absolutely.
you've already experienced some level of it.
I've experienced it. Absolutely. I've experienced it where? From my grandparents, my parents, my ex husband. I have experienced it. Absolutely. And a good, healthy love.
You are special. I'm telling you
To
that
God
it,
be the
I
glory.
mean that's just the amazing grace of God
It
and
is.
how he's
It is.
how he's navigating you. So you landed in love in this space of love again, and uh you got proposed to.
Yes.
Now, what happened with that?
So he had a tumor in his back, and we thought he was on the healing journey. He had had surgery, but for whatever reason, he did not. This is something, and I'll you have to ask the questions about health when you are with your partners, when y'all are learning things about each other. Like, is there something that I need to know? And so he didn't tell me that he had already been through this process before with radiation as well. So this time going through that radiation and everything under the sun, his body did not heal. So it
Mm,
was a lot of rigor. What was one surgery turned into four surgeries. And then from that, even though he healed from the surgery, his body was in shock. And the shock, because he was diabetic, took him out.
mm.
Yeah.
With that, did it because you've already been to the dark side,
Yeah.
you already know how to handle that level of grief. Did it take you back to that place, or were you
It
able
did.
to navigate a little bit more healthier this time around?
I would definitely say it took me back. I did, navigate it. The first person I called was my mother. My mother had a very great relationship with him, and she was in shock because she was like, "I know you're not lying, but it just seems so surreal that you would be saying something like this." And she deemed him to be a friend. So I called her, and I'm well. He's gone. Like I got a phone call, and I had literally just talked to him, and he was going into work. But yeah, so that sent me through a place of, okay, I gotta heal. But the thing that I did not do is I did not push people out. I leaned on people and was like, I need you guys. I need to talk. I need to do it. Even my spiritual father, I'm like, I just need to talk to this, whatever. I did not. Yeah, I gravitated and allowed people to pour in me and to help. And of course, I went to therapy again. The therapist is gonna go through the therapy. Like, he gonna go. Because I'm an advocate for that. Your mental health is everything. So I absolutely. But I found myself in a stronger place. But 2022 was definitely challenging for me.
That that's what I learned when my mom passed. That the first time I didn't know how to handle it. The
Hmm.
second time I had way more wisdom
Yeah,
on how to navigate,
yeah.
and I didn't shut people out. I didn't when people asked me how I was doing, I didn't mask it by saying I'm good. I told them
Hmm.
how I was feeling in the moment
Yep,
and
very important.
kept it real and not carrying the weight of the whole family's gonna collapse if they see me be weak and all this other stuff. All the foolish stuff that we tell ourselves when it comes to stuff like that. And so yeah, you process out of that. You are healing. You are landing in this place. God is refining you. God has over this journey has shown you what love looks like. You got a chance to experience love. You actually got a chance to, get out here outside of God in God's will, but learn some things. It moves you all the way forward. It forges you into the woman you are today. Now,
Hmm.
what are some of the other challenges that you face since then?
Well, that year I faced the loss of two grandparents, and one of them who was like, second mom to me. And so just with that, just a loss as a whole, grief is just very debilitating. But again, like you said, you have to process it and move forward. And I just chose just to allow their life instead of just focusing on the one day that they died. I chose, just like with my father, to focus on their life. And how do you express that when you are helping yourself, but you're also a servant and you're serving others? And that
Mm-hmm.
has been very critical in how I lead my life service.
Now, in your counseling, I know you counsel a lot of people, but and you coach and you do all those things. What would you share with somebody right now who is listening to this that may be in that place of that initial place, that initial dark place of trying to figure life out and put the pieces together, but the grief is sitting over in a corner, um, yelling, saying that you're not going to make it. What would you share with somebody that's in that space right now?
I would share with them to allow themselves to feel what you are going through. Don't mask it. Don't drink yourself, to sleep. Don't take drugs. Don't, go out and do things that you cause yourself to cope, but to actually feel what you're going through and acknowledge that it's real. Because
Mm,
when you acknowledge that it's real, now you can begin to deal with the why of why you're feeling with what you're feeling, and then you can begin to start your healing journey a little bit better.
that's good. That's good. That's good advice. That's really good stuff. And so, how old are your babies?
Ugh, babies, grown kids. So my son actually on what is this? This is the sixth. Is today the sixth or the seventh?
Today's the 7th.
Tomorrow's the eighth. Okay. Oh Lord. Tomorrow he will be 28.
Oh,
my, my- oh God. My daughter is 25. Yeah.
oh yeah, you got grown kids.
Grown kids.
You got grown.
Yeah.
Okay. Do y'all have a really good relationship?
And because he thinks that my son has always been real protective of his mama, and so he does little things where he kind of like calls himself checking me in my singleness, but I, put him back in line and say, I'm the mama. Now go take
Right.
that trash out and sit down somewhere. Yeah, my daughter is just, she's always been mellow tone, and to her, to herself and just, helpful and stuff like that. She's not like my son. My son has more of my personality than anything.
We ain't gonna ask. I ain't gonna ask you which
No,
one your favorite child because they're both your
no,
favorite.
they both are, yeah, they both my favorite in their own little way.
Yeah, they're both the favorite. I mean, so you came up in a culture of family. You see example of family. You've you've been inundated and indoctrinated into family.
Yes.
How important do I mean? I know you've been saying it throughout this conversation, but how important is that to you? How important is family
It
to
it
you?
is it's to me it is very critical because like it's when it comes to family, family is like life support if it's healthy. Family is like the experiences that I've had. I realized that when I've gone through my greatest struggles and my trials and my tribulations, my family has been there and they have been the one beyond friendship. My family has been there to be the support system that I needed, and I knew that I could count on them. So when the family is focused on building and being there for each other, and we talk about support systems, that's how families are supposed to be. We are supposed to be supportive of each other and really be present with each other. So it's critical that we have those healthy examples.
Yeah, you have an amazing support system. Like
Yes.
that is really um special just to hear how close knit your family is and how tight you are and having that as an example because we both know. I mean, I'm pretty sure if you go look at some of your friends and look at some of the dynamics as you were growing up, like, oh, this is different. Like, you
Oh
know.
no, I literally have a friend. We went through the doctoral program together for our PhD. And as we're, talking and sharing over studies, she comes out and she tells me about her family dynamics and like the father. My father was in the home, but I didn't have a relationship with my father.
Mm.
And I was like, make that make sense. That's
Right.
like, this,
Yeah.
how he tell me what does that look like to you? And but yeah, so so we do. I talk, I've talked to my friends, and then we've shared. Like I have some friends that definitely have that good family dynamic as well, but I have some that definitely have had some brokenness. There's some damage to the components of the family structure that is there. But what I can say, what has been intricate, has been things that I have learned from my father. For those that don't have, I give those nuggets back out, and it's been very instrumental.
Yeah. Yeah. That I mean that's you create an environment because just based off of just having this conversation with you and just kind of seeing how you invite people into your lives, or you create
Yeah,
the family dynamic across the board. It's like
hmm
it's ingrained. It's just what you do. It's like
hmm
we're going to accept you and invite you in
hmm
as family. So that's
that's what
pretty
being a love
pretty.
practitioner is. I practice love.
Yeah,
There you
yeah.
go.
You-
That's what that is.
that's and I love that. I love that. Now that so now you are 2 years removed from all of that. How's your healing journey right now?
My healing has been, it is, my healing journey has been amazing because, like I said, I have a support system and I went through therapy. So open minded to relationships and different things like that. Because again, you'll have some people that say, "I don't ever want to be married again." That's not my story. I know that God has called me to be a wife. I am better. I'm my best person in a relationship, definitely a marriage.
Well,
Mhm.
well, we're gonna stand in agreement that God sends your
Amen.
Boaz so that do it,
Receive.
God. Come on, move
Yes.
in the name of Jesus. Come on.
Yes, it's just one of those things. But I've been very selective in this journey because one of the things that I have experienced is that there's a lot of options that are out here, but there's not a lot of viable options for docs. And the reason that I say that is because where some people on the surface look like that they would be ideal, there's a lot of people that don't have a spiritual belief system like me. And if you don't align there first, then I don't want to have anything to do with you. It has to start there first and foremost. So that's very important to me. We have to be able to serve the same God, and we have to have a relationship with
100%. 100%. Now, um, what other challenges have you faced recently?
Him. It would be my health. my ugh.
I mean, I that's why I'm asking you in that way. I want you to be able to share whatever level that you want to be able to share without just asking you.
Yeah, I just one of the things that I have realized is that I've done a pretty good job. Like I eat very well. Let's start there. I cook. And I'm kosher pescatarian, meaning I only eat kosher fish. Um, and so I've done a lot of things by way of my lifestyle of eating, how I exercise, and different things of that nature. But I can say I'm a very driven woman, very ambitious. So I work hard, and I do a lot of things behind the scenes that people have no idea that I be doing. Right. So the past 2 months has been a lot of wear and tear, obviously. And so in August, I was having an episode and I was talking to my mom. I was like, I'm not feeling well. And so I ended up going to the emergency room because I'm thinking, oh, that's just, fix it and now be home in 4 hours or five or
Hmm.
six. No. So I mean, they were like, what is taking so long? And I'm still in pain. And the nurse said, "Oh, they didn't come and tell you. I'm really sorry, but we're going to have to care flight you to the big hospital." And I was like, "Wait, what? The big wait, what care flight? Oh God!" So
Right.
that was a lot to take in. So I was being admitted and didn't even know it. So I was dealing, with that. Like so this health challenge and it's coming out and with that particular and I don't mind saying what that is. I won't say what I'm dealing with right now, but I'll give a little bit of details. But I had a blockage in my intestines and it was twisted and turned.
Wow.
So yes. And so the prayer was it needed to resolve itself, or I was going to have to go in and have surgery, which I did not want to have to get done, and it did. So the prayers of the righteous avails
Come on.
much. It happened,
Won't he do it
and
though?
yes, Lord, I was so out, and I was in the hospital for an entire week long, going through that. The recovery from that was, a process. But as I'm recovering and I'm thinking my immune, I'm trying to do all these things to get back into the I ended up getting sick again. Then over a week, I'm just like, I didn't say anything to nobody this time. I just was like really quiet to myself. And I was like, I'm just going to go to the doctor on Monday. So I did call, I called my mom and I said, I want you to know I'm headed to the doctor. And she was like, honey, wait a minute. And I was like, I know, but I just think, this is going to be, I get to the doctor on that Monday. And so she said, either you need to go to ER because we got to have an emergency surgery right now, or, and I was like, wait, what do you mean? So this was just like blowing my mind. So this is what I'm healing from right now. This these medical and health scares. And so the biggest thing for me that I've had, there's two things that I had a takeaway in this process. Yes, I'm dealing with these medical things that are going on, but and I have a support system, but what I don't have is a support system in house with me
Mm.
while I'm, you know what I'm saying? Like you don't, and that is something that I miss about being in a marriage is having that person where you guys are there for each other, you're lifing it together. And then the other one I realize is that sometimes your people don't really know how to show up for you when you're in an emergency situation, like your friends. Like they'll say, "Well, I know you going through that. If there's anything that I can do, well, you know I'm having surgery. You want to take me to the doctor? You want to come wash some dishes? You want to take me to the grocery store when I come? Wherever you want to show up, just let me know." But they
Right.
don't know how to insert themselves to show up to be present. So that it really was revealed like in big, like big view for me to see how people don't know how to show up. And the other side, like, you know, the importance for me of having someone to be really intimate with you to life it together. So,
Well, we're going to stand in agreement that the God of the universe, who is a healer, he's a
yes,
divine
he is.
healer. He is, he says, by his stripes you are made whole. And we decree and declare that in your body right now, from the top of your head to the soles of your feet. And he's not a man that he should lie, nor the son of man that he shall
Amen.
repent. His word is
Yes.
true. His word is forever, and we just going to speak that healing in your body right now in the name
Thank
of
you, Lord. In the
Jesus.
name of
And
Jesus.
however God decides to manifest that,
Yes.
be it supernaturally or through medicine, that
Yes.
he will get the glory out of it.
He
So
will get
I
the glory.
definitely stand in agreement with
Yes.
the prayers that you've been praying. And you got another trooper on your side. So if
Thank
you
you,
need
Jesus.
any kind of anything, hey, you need to talk, you need prayer, I'm always
Thank
down. So
you.
I know my capacity. I can't
Yeah.
come and pet you and and take you to the grocery
Right.
store. I could call one of my homeboys out there
Right.
though. But
Like, could you
but
have her? Yeah.
but hey, you need prayer, you need anything. Hey, just anything
I
in
appreciate
that
that.
realm, let me know, and I am on it. I will keep you on my prayer list, and my wife and I we will pray, and we'll keep you lifted up because you have assignment, you have a mission, and all of this that you're experiencing is all stuff that somebody that is stranded in the wilderness, that you are the lifeline to that person that needs to hear it. So um I know that God's not finished, and he is
Mm-mm.
doing some amazing things.
Oh, yes,
So
he is.
now we're here, and we don't
Okay.
walk all the way through your life. So we got Doc Speaks. Let's talk about what are you doing? What's your platform?
So my platform, so my brand is whendocspeaks. And it really is the vessel in which God is using me to be able to help, really, especially when it comes to social media, really help people to know what healthy relationship looks like.
Okay.
Really to help people get into a place. And a huge part of that is teaching them intimacy. Can't say that.
Mm.
And so with that, I've been fortunate to be able to continue to counsel not just couples. Sometimes you got to start at the individual level to get there. So this is people that know, like, there's a mindset, there's something that has not been working with me that needs to get fixed. So I appreciate those type of conversations. And even when people are on that verge of divorce, really talking them off of that ledge to kind of bring them back as well. Because I'm an advocate for healthy relationships, and I want to do what God has called me to do as far as being that bridging the gap, being a bridge builder. And so some people just don't know that there are amazing tools and resources out there, and much of it is already inside of them. They just don't know how to use it.
Hmm.
So that has been a key thing for me. And so we're part of with my profession. I do what I do, but a lot of things that I do when it comes to social media has everything to do with service. I'm not trying to charge. I'm trying to give back, and I want to do it in such a way to where, um, I don't, just overextend myself, but I
Right.
know my capacity, and I'm willing to give whatever capacity that is, so that people can be free.
Well, look, you've you had it. I mean, it's just natural that you fall into that. You have grandparents, great grandparents, parents.
Yes,
You got-
yes.
it's just
Aunties,
natural that
uncles,
you
everybody
flow
be.
into that space,
Hmm.
and that you are in that space on healthy relationships, which is very important. Now, if you ever need my wife and I to pull up anything that you're doing,
Absolutely.
we got
Thank
21 years in the
you.
game, and we still trying to figure this thing out. But
I
we
love it.
we are we are trying to create a space now for
Hmm.
healthy marriages, and in
Yeah.
that TikTok space. My wife is not a social media person and
Oh,
at all, and so to actually get her to co-sign on it in that
yeah.
space so that people can see a healthy relationship.
That's good.
So
That's
if
a
you
powerful
ever
thing.
need us to pull up on anything that you're doing, or you doing a podcast, or
Absolutely.
you're doing a panel, or anything like that, let us know so that we can be a support. And I'm pretty sure you have other friends and things that are around you that got time in the game and that can
Hmm.
speak to that as well. But we're going to take a look at your so if y'all want to get in contact with
Yeah.
When Doc Speaks. This is her link tree right here. linktr.ee/ when Doc Speaks. From this website right here, you can get all the things that she has available. You can get in her merch, you can get on her podcast, you can find her books, everything that she does, you can pull up from this link tree right here, When Doc Speaks. So support everything that she's doing. If she's in your area with anything, support her. Support her lives on TikTok, support her lives on Instagram, wherever she goes, wherever she's showing up. Y'all need to pull up and get the information because it's free information. One of the things that I think we struggle with as a culture and as a community, we don't take advantage of the resources that are around
Yeah.
to help build
Yeah.
and edify us to become the better
Hmm.
version of ourselves. And
Hmm.
when it's something out here on the table from somebody
Yeah.
who's done experienced it and got the life
That's it.
application piece to it, we
Yes.
need to jump in, jump on, and be aboard so that we can all be the better versions of ourselves, so that we can show up for somebody else who may need it, who may not have a direct access to her. Like, if you want to be mentored by her and she doesn't have that capacity, if you look at her videos, if you tap into all her social media, if you read this stuff, guess what? You are
It's
being
there.
mentored by her, just not directly mentored by her. So,
Exactly.
um, follow her on all her social media, pull her up, and tap in to everything that she has going on, because she is phenomenal, awesome, and amazing, and she has a life that she is giving. Now, I do have one last question for you
Okay, sir.
though.
I'm nervous. Oh God.
So, um, this question, I it's just a self reflection question, really. But
Okay.
what is something that you didn't learn at when you was younger that you had to learn the hard way as you grew up?
You know what? I would truly say one thing that I didn't learn when I was younger that I've had to learn is self discipline.
Mm,
And that's very interesting because when you're in a family dynamic and everything, no one is worried about the self discipline part about what, like, how. You need to be committed to like certain things and stay, stick and stay, and everything like that. Like you get told, did you do? It's almost like the direction, but you don't understand your why. So
Mm-hmm.
when it becomes about creating these routines and these habits that are truly healthy for you, that's something that is very critical in life. And so that is something that I wish I had learned earlier on, because I really believe that that would have been an intricate piece of the foundation that was so very needed.
Well, that is some good stuff right there. That is, man. This was, I just really enjoyed having this
Likewise.
conversation and everything. This was good. You got anything else you want to say to the people?
I want y'all to stay tuned, because I do have two great books that are coming out. One is about vetting, and the other is about things my daddy taught me. And beyond that, I will have some other things that's going to come out as far as that I can pick your brain and bring the balls into, and I'll keep you posted on it. But it's going to be a great thing, and it really is about those with a servant mind and a servant heart. So just stay tuned. If you're connected and you're following, you get all the information when you need to get it.
And if you're not following, follow so you can be
Follow.
connected so that you can get access to
Yeah,
so you can get
that's the
access
trick.
to everything that she got coming down the pipe and everything she got on tap. Um
Hmm.
that so look, it's been real. I done
It
had an
has been real.
amazing time and we had a great conversation
We did.
and
We did.
um hey, I want y'all to know that I appreciate everybody who's tapping in, who's listening, and who watches and who follows.
Thank you,
It
guys.
blesses me. I want to thank you for pulling up and hanging
Thank
out
you
with
for
me
having me.
for this short period of time and just giving us an insight and a piece of your story. Because I'm pretty sure there's a whole bunch of other pieces that you
A
could
lot
have
more.
added, but this was enough, and I hope it does what I hope it does, which is encourage and
Absolutely.
inspire and move somebody to pursue their God given purpose
Absolutely.
through just hearing something that is in your life that might spark, that might connect,
Yeah.
and might move them to say, "Oh, she was here and she made it. That's my inspiration. I can make it as well." So,
Absolutely.
with that being said, hey, I
Okay.
love y'all like a play cousin,
Love
and I'm out.
you.
Peace.